Hey folks, Dave from Opposing the Matrix here. How the heck are you? I'm doing pretty good here myself. Sorry about Tuesday, but extenuating circumstances, folks. I got a mother. She lives down in Florida, and she is 88 years old and had a medical emergency the other day. We almost lost her. She got it into the hospital in time, and they had to do emergency surgery, and a 10-hour surgery of all things. And thank God she's okay. That's all I gotta say. She made it through, and she is okay. So, okay. Let's get her up and running on everything. Good deal. Yeah, a lot of things happened this week, folks. And that was the icing on the cake, actually. But she's okay, man. You know, as you get older, you prepare for the inevitability of your parents, their life ending and them going to be into heaven, if they know Yeshua, of course. But there's no easy way for it to happen. You know, even with that comfort that you're going to be with them for eternity and everything, it's still they talk about the sting of death. The sting of death isn't for the people that are dying. It's for the people that are left. And man, it was difficult. It really was. But anyway, she's okay so far. And we keep praying for her all the time. If you want to pray for her name is Pauline. Okay. Now, it'd be awesome if you prayed for her, actually. So I'll thank you ahead of time. I'm not going to go into the whole everything that was wrong and everything. First of all, it'd be violating HIPAA. Even though I'm not a practicing nurse anymore, I still don't want to do that. But anyway, so I found something really neat for the show, folks. I was looking online because I'd considered doing this show from inside the house. And I have a very loud computer in the room, and it would just the drone of it would just be annoying for you. You know, I'm used to it, but so what I found this filter that comes with OBS, and man, it just takes out everything any machine noise, any drone, and then they have another one you can set up. It'll actually take dog barks out of the video. But I digress. If you're interested, the chat room is open on Rumble, so you can get on there and do that. It's the only chat room that I'm going to run right now, okay? But there's just enough going on. So it looks like we're on YouTube. We're doing good on YouTube. Oh, man. Rumble's giving me some hold on a sec, folks. Let me see if I can fix Rumble, okay? It's the whole main crux of what I do, and when it doesn't work, that's not good. So let me just kind of keep you entertained while I'm working on this. It shouldn't take very long, I don't think. And oh, for goodness sakes! And you know, there's no way to test this before you go on the air. There's no way, because you'd actually start a stream, and then after that's over with, you got to go and redo everything all over again. So, let's see here. I want to go. Oh man, let's see. Okay, here. Come on. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, goodness gracious. I got to find the stream key and the URL. And let's see here. I'm going to do this, folks. I really am. I've got to do this. It's a key. It's the key that we have to do this. It's okay, let's see. Go back here again. I know it's here somewhere. Okay. Come on, baby. Okay, here we go. Let me go there. And I'm going to go. Mamma mia. Okay. I don't know. Can I do this? No, I can't do that. Ay, 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 ay. I just might have to scrub doing Rumble today, I think, maybe. But I'm going to try one last thing here. And you get to experience this with me. Hey, what do you think about that, huh? You get to kind of be an audience while I'm trying to fix this stupid thing. The only thing I could think of is to go here. Ay, ay. Okay, let's see what's there. Nothing. Nothing. Mamma mia. Okay, well, I don't want to take too much more time with it doing this. You know, it's a shame that it's taken this long to do. And you know, if I wasn't under stress right now to figure this out, I could do it in a second. Let's see, one more time here. Okay, you know, I don't know, dashboard. That doesn't do nothing here. Okay, dashboard, live streaming. Come on, baby, live streaming, live streams. Huh? It says it's ended. Oh, that's really nice. That is really nice. Okay. Well, here's the deal. We're not going to do Rumble right now. I'll finish the show and then I'll upload it to Rumble. We've taken too much time, so I have to make a capital decision here. So let's see. I just can't hit this and make it go. Okay. Let's see. Is it doing anything? Nope. Let's hit start. Error, failed to connect to stream. Okay, well, we're on everything else. So, okay. This is a bummer, but we'll get by. Okay. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks. Let's get the meat and potatoes and everything else. So, I was surfing the other day online. You know, I don't go out in the ocean and surf. I don't like sharks. And I know they don't like me. So, and it's a dangerous thing to do. I mean, if you do it, God bless you. And you get away with it, hey, live long and prosper. But so I was the subject matter tonight, by the way, is the pyramid power or power pyramid. And basically it looks at your typical pyramid. The up on top is the most important, and down on the bottom is the least important, according to the power pyramid. And but I found out that there's 4 power pyramids. Okay, and so we'll kind of look at all 4 of them today, real quick, and go from there. And then I found some videos. There's a gal online. Her name is, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's spelled Tajana, Tahana, and her last name is Cekic. So I think that's Sekic. Sounds like it's Polish or Eastern European. Might be Polish, and if she is, maybe we're related. I don't know. But anyway, so she's a younger person that thinks, and I am just so happy to see that. You know, as many younger people, they just want to play video games or move on with their life and just and do hopeless and stupid things. You know, nothing that's going to lead to anything in eternity. You know, that the younger generation, her generation, is really they're woken up. A lot of them are more awoke than my generation and Generation X and all the other ones below that, and the millennials and stuff. And I'm proud to see that too. You know, they've had a chance to see the whole cake or the whole meal, okay? And they've seen how the meat wasn't cooked right, how the potato wasn't cooked enough, and everything else. And they've decided that there's only one good thing on that plate to look at and to, devour news. You can devour news and information, and they pick that, and that's a good thing. But then it leads to other things too. It's by the time you're finishing that up, the rest of your food could be cooked again or better, and then you move on. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. But anyway, Tahana, I guess is her name. Wonderful young lady. You got to look for her online. Go on to YouTube and Rumble. She's on both, and she does shorts for the most part. And it's asking questions, but then giving answers. And the questions that she asks are, oh man, they're incredible. They're valid. They're questions that any intelligent person would ask when it comes to the matrix, or when it comes to the governments and what they're doing. I think she might live in Canada, but I know she's from Eastern Europe. I think she mentioned that. But and if you were from Eastern Europe, either you or your parents lived under communism, and they know what it's like. And when you see the United States and the rest of the world heading toward that direction, or in that direction, they have to say something. I remember years ago, the first year when Obama was elected, and I was working in a pharmacy, a closed-door pharmacy, and I had a driver come in. He was from Latvia or something like that. I can't remember. And I says, well, what do you think about the election? And he goes, he says, I come to this country to be free, and I move here, and everything's good, and then this. And he points to the newspaper, and it's something like Obama elected, I can't remember exactly, many years ago, and it's something that you really don't want to remember, And that was the sentiment of most Eastern Europeans that escaped here from Eastern Europe, or came here as a safe haven after Europe fell, because they, I imagine that they thought maybe it would start up all over again, communism, whatever. But anyway, the overwhelming consensus of the people that I knew, because I met a lot of them migrated to California, believe it or not. So I met people from all over the Eastern Bloc. Had good friends from Hungary, really good friends from Armenia. Lots of Armenian people are wonderful, man. They're beautiful people. So anyway, I got the opinion of a lot of people. I mean, not just of modern day politics, but especially the Armenians. Oh, what they went through, and still are going through to some degree, because they're constantly have tension at the border with Azerbaijan and a couple of the other countries. Turkey's right on the border, and the Turks and the Armenians have never gotten along. The Turks have, matter of fact, at one time, the Turks they performed a genocide against the Armenian people, but at the same time against the Greeks and the Assyrians too. They were going free willy-nilly, just killing anybody that they wanted to, especially if they weren't Muslim. And not a good thing. So, and I actually have a relative that whose family escaped from there back in the early 1900s, I guess. For some reason, I'm thinking 1917 or right around there. But they got the heck out of there, and so his name was Charlie, and his parents fled from there. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. I didn't want to do that. But so they've lived through a horror story from their part of the Matrix, and they moved to our part of the Matrix to get away from it, and then it started becoming their part of the Matrix again. So thank Yahweh, thank you very much that the person we elected for office is in there right now. That's all I got to say. That's my opinion, and I'm going to stick to that. I think a lot of good things are going to come out of him and what he's doing here, but I don't want to get too political here, especially in that manner. But so when you think of the power system that exists, both spiritual and secular or physical, they have a lot of matching attributes. Okay, the spiritual hierarchy in the way of angels and fallen angels and is much akin to the military, actually. In the military, you have your generals. They're the top dogs, and then you have your colonels, lieutenant colonels. You have your majors, then you have your captains. This is Army rank, okay? The Navy, I don't even try to understand that. Then you go down, and a whole different degree of different degrees of sergeant, and then you go down to corporal, and it's specialist, and then private, and so it's, there's a hierarchy that goes all the way down, and I don't know, it seems to be the way of the world anyway. If you're working, so like I did in the hospital, you got the administrator, that's the top dog, and then you have the doctors and the doctor staff, and then you have the nursing staff, and so they're kind of equal but not equal in the pyramid. And then you have your ancillary workers, and then the cafeteria workers and the janitors and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, I saw more fidelity and truth in the lower echelons at the hospital than I did in higher ones. I didn't have a good experience with the doctors there, and it's hard being a nurse under doctors that are prima donnas. Anyway, getting back on the subject again. So I discovered that there's four different pyramids. Okay, there's a secular or political pyramid. I'm sorry, but I got to go down the line here and read this. Okay. Number 2. Number 2. I went through number 2. I just breezed on through it, folks. Then you have your spiritual or your biblical model of pyramid, and we'll get into that. Numero 3. The biblical versus the modern elite comparison. Okay, that's that pyramid. And number 4. Hello. Okay, I can't find number 4, but it's here. Okay. We'll get through it. We'll get through it when we get through it. Okay, it's maybe it'd be a good idea for me to start out by showing you a little slideshow I put together, showing different pyramids. Okay, and kind of the way they operate, and kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be going through when we're looking at these things. So, without further ado, we'll do that. Okay, let's see here. Slideshow. There we go. Okay, now making it work is the next. Okay, there we go. So this first one I found quite interesting. It's the Illuminati power structure, but it's basically talking about their finances and what they use for money. Okay, now I don't agree with the top. I think that the top of the pyramid, the apex, should be the spiritual realm. Okay, they've chosen to put AI up there. I don't know why. AI is, it's important and it's a growing thing, but I don't think it's important enough for, should I say, powerful enough to be on top. I think Satan is probably the best bet to be on top of this one, or Lucifer, if you want to call him that. By the way, Lucifer is not found in. It's found in Scripture, but it was never really used. It's something that Catholicism happened to work into the Bible, and for some reason it worked into the Protestant Bibles too. But the Greek, the Hebrew is halal, Halal. Okay, that is the name for Lucifer, and we get and it means praise, because he used to be the praise director in heaven before he fell. And I can't remember the Greek to save my life. But anyway, so just remember, Lucifer is not in there, so to speak. Anyway, I digress. So you have Lucifer or Satan at the top. I'm ignoring the AI. Now underneath you have your, they're saying extraterrestrials here. The Draco Empire basically is representative of the lizards, the reptilians, but there are other races of extraterrestrials. And remember that they're not really extraterrestrials. They're fallen angel in nature, have all the attributes of fallen angels, and they're just here dressed as extraterrestrials because our society is very technical now and very interested in outer space. And what better way to dupe the people than to come in that disguise. So underneath that, there's the Illuminati families and the people that are powerful. After that's secret societies, then government, and then civilians, people like me and you. So if you look to the left, and let's go from the bottom up, we use money, right, as a currency, almost basically. And they're coming out with things like Bitcoin and that kind of money and stuff like that. But still, it's a tradable commodity that is based on wealth or worth. The government uses money, but they also use sex. Okay, there's no way of getting around it, folks. They do. If you don't believe that, you haven't watched Bill Clinton. You haven't watched other politicians. What was it? Willie Brown with the mayor of San Francisco. A lot of these guys and some women too have all been caught in the act of using sex. And what happens in government, when it's used, it's a lot of times used as an entrapment. In other words, they'll get a fresh senator or fresh representative in there that is really altruistic, wants to really clean things up, but somehow they are allured into some kind of act that of a sexual nature that it compromises them. That's the word I'm looking for. It compromises them so that after that, they're basically a knock comes on the door the next day, and they answer the door and hey, I'd really like to get this bill passed. Well, that bill goes against everything that I believe in. Well, you didn't really believe in that your beliefs when you were with that young lady or young man or whatever. So here's the deal. We made a movie of it, and if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to show that to everybody, and you'll get kicked out of office and be ruined. Your marriage is going to go south and everything else. So let me go up to the secret societies. You name your pick. The Club of Rome, the Committee of 300, the Masons, what have you, and so they use money and sex, but they also use knowledge. Okay, and the knowledge that they use is the gnosis that they use is of a secretive nature, because it taps into some really weird stuff. It take for instance the what is that Bohemian Grove down in California. Every year they have that camp and the stuff that goes on down there. But they also pass on knowledge, and also, knowledge and sex and money. But they hook together in order to make deals and stuff like that. And that should really be there too. But I don't know, they for some reason didn't get put there. But knowledge is very important to them, and it's they make it look secret, so it's alluring. Everybody likes secrets, It's a way to get somebody's attention. Do you want to hear a secret? Well, 9 out of 10 people are going to say, yeah, tell me. Some will say, well, I really don't want to hear it. And they'll say, well, maybe you want to hear it because maybe you want to pray for that person or something like that, And so they're all ears, literally. And so the knowledge is very important to them. And they go into the occult knowledge and the sacred knowledge, so to speak, and everything else. And so I think when Yahweh finally talks to them on the last day, he says, you had all this stuff, you had all this knowledge, but it was garbage. It's stuff that we threw out in heaven years ago, and you're using it, and you're going to suffer the consequences of losing it. And then let's go up the next one. We have the Illuminati families, or the people that are higher in power, and not all the way up there with the spiritual entities, but they're the runner boys for the spiritual entities, so to speak. And they're the ones that drink blood because they believe that drinking the blood, especially of young people, keeps them alive. And they also go into the adrenochrome and stuff like that. They use sex, and they use land. okay, as a monetary medium. Three-dimensional immortality. The secrets that the secret society thinks they have, the Illuminati have more intense gnosis or knowledge, and they use that, and it delves more into the occult. These are the people that have human sacrifices that I guess the secret societies do too, but they're the ones that the Illuminati families and the families of the bankers and stuff like that. They're into it for the power and the money. The secret societies are in for it for the power, but it's gnosis power. It's man, it's so hard to explain. I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about. But the power that the Illuminati family, they want to control the world. They want to run the world, basically, and they'll do anything they have to in order to do it. And if it means making a deal with the devil, well, they've done it many, many times, and they'll do it again and again and again. You know, they have no qualms. They're the there's a book out there. I wish I was more equipped tonight to some of this information I have or don't have. But there's a book, you can find it online. It talks all about the higher families, the satanic bloodlines and stuff like that. Okay, go up from there. Then you have all your spiritual entities. You have your fallen angels, your sons of God, but you know what I mean. The sons of God, the demonic realm, and things like that. And of course, they're into blood because they receive the sacrifice a lot of times from the Illuminati family and from the secret societies, because the shedding of blood in their eyes is a way to gain more power. And that's why Hillary Clinton's kill list is what is it, like 250 people on it or something like that. She had no problem offing people, because when they do that, and they're so mixed up in the occult, they believe that it gains them kudos, should I say, or brownie points in the spiritual realm, and with their keepers, the spiritual entities. And so anyway, they're more the ones that receive the blood or the sacrifice. But I will say that in the case of like the alien greys, they're and some of the other ones too. I can't remember exactly which ones. The reptilians, of course, the Dracos. They also like to feast on human flesh. I know that sounds so weird, but it's something that we better get used to, because it's a fact, and it's going to be getting more and more plain as we get closer to the time of the tribulation. Planets, I don't know about that. So I'm not going to comment it, but three-dimensional immortality. Okay, they're of course they are immortal because they're either they're angels, fallen angels, or the sons of God, which is another class of angel. But one of their prizes is that they believe, and in a sense it's true, that some of these entities, we talked about a military ranking, and it's that way in the spiritual community, especially with the fallen spiritual community, and also the holy one too. But these are the entities that I do believe they think that if the worse they are, the higher they're going to go. Okay, and there's a theory out there that, especially with these things that call themselves extraterrestrials, these fallen entities that do that, the ones that are more ugly are the ones that are the most evil, so to speak. So, I mean, they're all evil. They're evil to the nth degree, but there are degrees in their realm of evilness, and the more evil that they are, just like the witches and stuff like that, and the one below. The more that they do, the more that they please their god, which is the top apex here, which is Satan. Remember, he's the highfalutin grand poobah of all this stuff. And anyway, so let's see if we can find another pyramid that might explain this a little better. All right, come on. All right, here's one right here. So you can see the apex is Satan, and it says the all-seeing eye. That all-seeing eye on the top of the pyramid you see on the back of the dollar bill that's the eye of Horus, and Horus was an Egyptian god, and Horus was one of their main gods, and probably akin to the level of Satan in the Egyptian religion. And right below them you have the let's see, I got to get a little closer to read this. Sorry, folks. The Jesuits, the rabbis. Okay, so you have your Christian and your the wicked Christians and the wicked Jewish elements. Okay, and it says here that the Jesuits they share power, but the Jesuits are 70% of the power, and the rabbis. I think they're talking about the Chabad rabbis. Or just 25% of the power. I shouldn't say just, because it's their power is very, very powerful in that realm. So you go below that, you get the royalty and the aristocracies, the kings, the queens. Something is I got to do here, folks. Let me turn this off. Okay, good. I'm not in the background distracting it. What is it? The Queen of is it Holland or Netherlands? I can't remember which one. Is a very, very wicked woman. She's into child sacrifice. She's into child pornography, selling children, and the whole 9 yards. If it has to do with kids and it's wicked, she's into it. And but so are many of the other royalties, and I'm not just talking about like kings and queens and stuff like that. I'm talking about those who are in royalty, maybe elected officials, especially if they take on the rule for, leader for life or something like that. But as we've seen in the American system here, we don't have aristocracy, so to speak, but we do have people that are in government, and they're supposed to be working for the people, but instead of working for the people, they're ruling over the people. And that is not what the Constitution envisioned for our government. And not that the Constitution is obeyed anymore that much anyway. Hopefully that'll change really quick. But so that's that class of people right there. The elites. You could in this you could throw into the the Rockefellers. The Soroses and other things like that. Okay, so they could fall into that category too. Okay, then underneath them you have the big businessmen and bankers, and they're not much below the royalty and aristocracy. And some of the royalty and aristocracy are actually involved in big business and and banking. So especially when you're talking about the Rothschilds and other groups like that. So. Anyway, let's go down to the next one, the secret societies, Skull and Bones, which George Bush was a part of, and many other presidents were too, actually. If it's a secret society, folks, you can't be a righteous person and be in a secret society. I'm sorry, it's just not possible. You can try to convince me it is, but it's not possible. There's a clown running around. He's supposedly a prophet in the NAR, New Apostolic Reformation, and he is actually a Knight of Malta. And the Knights of Malta are right up there with the Jesuits and the Knights-Templar. They claim to be protectors of Christianity, but it's not the Christianity that the Bible teaches or that you and I practice. Okay, it's more akin to Catholicism, but the Black Pope and stuff like that. So you got Skull and Bones, the Jesuits, B'nai B'rith, which is a Jewish organization, the Templars, the Knights of Malta, there it is, right there, Illuminati, Masons, Rosicrucians. You've probably heard of the Rosicrucian Society. Opus Dei is another one, and the Bilderberger group. And see how it's got the three pyramids? There's a lot more there. The Committee of 300, the Club of Rome, all part of it. Okay, you go down further, and you have the intelligence and security forces, MI4, MI6, the CIA, the FBI, Mossad, all fall in this category, and they all have their, let me say this, not in the current administration, I do not believe, but in administrations American prior, they were really involved into this stuff, and Trump has got rid of a lot of them. He fired a lot of these people. But let's see. So it has a little box over to the right, and that box, this first box to the right, if you can see it, it's the distribution and selling of drugs of the mafia, or via the mafia. Okay, so the intelligence services, politicians, and some government and judicial people are involved in that. And the box is down below that. Transportation and treatment of drugs. And that's covered under the government, judiciary, educational system, police, NATO troops, and NATO bases. And at the bottom, of course, there's people like me and you. And they're also, though, that group is also included in that transportation and treatment of drugs. So under the intelligence, there's the politicians. And really, when you think about it, most politicians fall into this. When you start talking about presidents and stuff, and like King Charles and the princes and stuff all over in England, and Queen Beatrice, that's her name, over in the Netherlands or Holland, and some of those other people, that they fall more into the royalty and aristocracy. And I know, yes, they're only presidents, but most presidents, if you trace their bloodlines down, they have either royalty or aristocracy in their DNA, so to speak. Okay, so the politicians, and then underneath that, government, judiciary, educational systems, spelled system wrong. And boy, you could see that in the way the kids are being taught nowadays, or not being taught. Actually, they're being indoctrinated into communist rhetoric. Let's see, police, NATO troops, and NATO bases. I don't know if you saw it, but Trump looks like he's going to pull us out of NATO. He's actually told Germany just this last week that he wants them to be responsible for the protection of Europe, which I think is kind of awesome, actually. We need to get out of that organization. It's wicked and evil. And if you attack one of them, then if you get on one of the bad sides, you're on all the bad sides. So it's something not to be involved in. There was a time when NATO was needed, but not so much anymore, I don't think. Anyway, okay, so let's look at the next one. Let's see here. This one, I don't know if you can read this, but maybe you can, if you get a hold of this video, you can download, get to this particular picture and just make a copy of it and then blow it up, because it looks like a mess, folks, but man, it makes a lot of sense. Let's see. So I'm just looking at, you look over right in the middle on the left-hand side, it talks about the Draco and reptilians. And let's see. So, but all the way at the top of that circle, or that oblong egg-shaped thing, you have ancient aliens, which there weren't any, but they were actually fallen angels. Those are the ones that came to Earth before the flood. The fallen angels that assembled on Mount. Okay, I'll get it. Okay, anyway, the crop circles are demonic. Then also the other groups, the Pleiadians, the Ashtar Command, or Lord Ashtar. It's interesting. Now, this is really blatant, because you got the Ashtar Command, or Lord Ashtar, and in the scriptures you have the Astaroth, which Israel was constantly turning their back on Yahweh and following the Astaroth. Same different or same group of beings, same group of fallen angels, but this time they're pretending to come from other star systems. Okay, Galactic Federation of Light. Remember, just because it says light, folks, doesn't mean they're good. It says in Scripture that even Satan can manifest as an angel of light, as can his minions. So basically, just because it's light doesn't mean it's good. So you got to kind of pick and choose on that, and you have to have a lot of discernment when it comes to that also. Let's see here. Man, you really have to stretch. Okay, there's a kind of an obloid structure kind of towards the top on the left. It talks about, man, I gotta get closer. This is the one that has to do with the vaccines. Oop, I said that word, sorry. And Agenda 21 and all the other things that are associated with kind of what we're fighting these days. You know, the not necessarily the foundation of what we're fighting, but the manifestations. Let's see, the V word, chemtrails, geoengineering, GMOs, climate change. Oh, climate change! What a hokey that is. Okay, then if you go over to the right, there's a pyramid over there, and it's talking about think tanks. These are a group of people that get together and think about how they're going to deceive us and how they're going to try to pull the wool over our eyes. And these are dangerous ones right here. Let's see. And then you got below that, you have, it says the New World Order, and has Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. They were associated with that. And then down below, Princess Diana. That she was the Queen's sacrifice. You see, I explained earlier that the shedding of blood with them is a thing of honor, and they think they have more power when they shed blood. They get more kudos, supposedly, in the Satanic Kingdom, and the killing of Diana was a big one, and the Queen was supposed to be involved in that. She's the one that got all the kudos from the evil side. Let's see. 9/11 is and was a sacrifice, a big one. And if you think that it was done by a bunch of Arabs, folks, I have news for you. You're wrong. It was George Bush and Dick Cheney were behind that. And there's proof of that, too. I got something online about that. Let's see. Of course, that led to the Iraq invasion. And then with that came Obama, because he was right after George Bush. And then we branch off into things like Pizzagate, the abduction and the misuse and the murder of degenerates. So anyway, follow around and follow the arrows and see where they point. It's a very interesting map, to say the least. Okay. I think my chair is giving up the ghost here, folks. So if I'm a little shorter, it's fine. All right, let's go to the next one. What do we have here? Okay, this is a very complicated one. It's showing more of a three-dimensional aspect, and if you look down at the bottom, there's it says on the top the basic Illuminati structure. Okay, so this is the pyramid that's talking about the ranks of evil ones. Okay, all the way over on the right, you have the Black Brotherhood. And then you have the Red Brotherhood, and up above that you have the Great White Brotherhood. We've talked about that before. There are people that basically ascended into Nirvana, and they don't have their bodies anymore, but they're spiritual guys that supposedly are around to help mankind. Okay, so look on the left-hand side, you follow the center down, and you go to the left. You can see that there are degrees of evil. Okay, the first one is it was witchcraft. Okay, And not to say that witchcraft isn't as evil as all these other ones. It just, for some reason, it's not as adept as the others here. But if you go to the second level from the bottom, it says craft practicing witch. The ones that know spells and secrets. Let's see. Fellow craft. Mineral, I don't know what that means. But anyway, go up to the next step. You have the master witch. Mother, I can't read that. Anyway, so that's their hierarchy, so to speak. Then you get into this looks like it's all witchcraft and wizardry. Yeah. Then you get over to the top special councils and committees. On the left-hand side is it's like, especially on the right-hand side, in the middle of the right is Knights of the East and West, Knights of Pelican and Eagle, 5. Knights-Templar. Let's see, Grand Inspector. Perfect Pontiff. And so you're going up, this is more of the politico-religious aspect. And in the middle of the right-hand side, following the midline, that is, you have the Knights and the Patriarchs and the Skull and Bones leadership. And this is a really interesting, it really is. It's something that you download it offline. I found this, I just typed in power pyramids or something like that, and this came up, and I downloaded it. It's very promising. It reveals a lot. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is one that we saw earlier. At the top, you have the New World Order agenda. Okay, this is basically their constitution or their bylaws or whatever you want to call it. And you can see on the left-hand side the secret societies and subversive groups. And as you go up, they're more secret, more subversive, and more evil. Now, right below the New World Order agenda, you have the banking, religious, secret society, and royal elite. So we talked about that prior to the last one. So this is basically a lot like that pyramid. Okay. Let's see. So third one down, global companies and big Wall Street investors. Okay. Down below that, you have the top level advisors and politicians. This one follows the power structure really well, especially in the free world. Okay, below that is the top military intelligence agency. They kind of like hold the middle ground in this pyramid. Below that, the European Union, UN presidents and prime ministers. And I would say that the United States president should go in there too, somewhere. Except for our current one. Let's see. Below that, government-funded scientists, food, drugs, and healthcare industries. We saw that during in the last 4 or 5 years with the all the medical stuff that was going on, all those with the FDA and other government structures like that. And there's some that weren't even government structures, but were pretending to be and were basically acting as part of it, but they weren't. Let's see. So below that, you have the corporate and government-owned news media. There is no news media anymore. It's a gossip media. It's a political propaganda end of the left, and it's a shame too because we used to really look up to the news when I was growing up. We seemed to have some kind of credibility, some kind of credibility. Not anymore. Okay, below that you have the education system, entertainment industry, and religious dogma. These are really the ones that are into propaganda. The education system, my goodness, I think they're teaching grade school kids and high school kids. It's criminal, it really is. A lot of them are getting away from that now, thank God, but still it's pretty prevalent in the education community. Yeah, the entertainment industry. What sewer that is, huh? Your actors and actresses, and the ones that put things together, like Larry David and others that produce and direct. And religious dogma too falls into this. Some of the more odd stuff, of course, but also some of the like the churches that adhere to the NAR doctrine, okay, and you talk about maybe the Catholics and the Orthodox systems fit in there, and anything that's more of a religion than a relationship. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again that true Christianity is a relationship. Yahweh wants to have a relationship with us. He just doesn't want it to be a robotic thing like a lot of religions seem to be. He just wants to be our Father. He wants us to be His sons and daughters, and he has great rewards for those of us that accept that and crave that. And who doesn't want to crave something like that? You know, you have to have a really wicked and evil and hard heart to not want to be loved by the Creator of the universe. You know. Okay, and then down below it's people like you and me, everybody else, the workers, ants of the world. Interesting title they put there, the worker ants. It's because it's a hive mentality. If you look at the ants, if you look at bees, things like that, you know, you have mostly workers. Let's see, bees are either workers, soldiers, or that's it actually. Aside from the queen and stuff, but yeah, it's a very wicked order. You know, the ants and the bees and stuff like that. But also in nature, they're the hardest working animals too. So it's you can't slam them for everything, I guess, huh? Let's see. All right, here's another one. The New World Order Neo-Feudalist System, and this is one's a little difficult to read. So you got the pyramid of power on top. You have the bankers, the oligarchs, and the monarchs. Okay, it's funny how each one of these is different. Now, I would put them on a second level down, and I would put the devil up on the top, of course. Let's see. The ruling elite is below them, corporations and barons. Okay, below that, the third level down is the media, politicians, and bureaucracy. This is a very accurate pyramid, actually. The next one down is the military, sheriffs, law enforcement, and I can't read that last word. That's okay, though. Kind of get the idea. The protectors that aren't necessarily the protectors. Now, I'm not going to include sheriffs in that statement because there's a lot of good sheriffs out there. Oregon has a lot of good sheriffs that they're the only thing that are keeping total evil from taking over Oregon. I'm convinced of that. Okay, let's see. In the bottom level is small business professionals, excuse me, workers, peasants. That's what I feel like sometimes. Serfs is another name for it. Let's see, what's it say? Prisoners, tenant farmers, and slaves. Okay, when you look at it, what are we for folks? We're more like slaves than free people, even though we claim to be free, and we do have a lot more freedoms than other societies, but still, how free are we? You have to ask that question, you know? Okay, what's the next one? Oh, we're back here again. All right. So, all right. There we go. Just look at them again. And that one. All right. Okay, so that takes care of that, folks. Man, we're really using up a lot of time on, but we'll be able to do this. Okay. So let me get rid of where is that? Here. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna. I want to look at these different pyramids, and like I said, I won't take too long. I'm just gonna read through it, okay? And if there's something to explain, maybe I'll explain it. But again, the name of that girl, you got to check her out online. It's Tahana C. Her name is Tajana. I'm assuming that's spelled or pronounced Tahana. And Sekic, Cekic. Nice gal, very nice gal, very personable. Got a wonderful personality, and she's pretty too. Okay, so let's see part one. So let's look at the secular and political power pyramid. Okay, we already looked at it, but let's hypothetically look at it here. So the apex is the elite multi-general families, and we're talking about again the Rothschilds and the Soroses and the Rockefellers, you name it. Okay, and so included in that, okay, are the banking dynasties, the aristocratic bloodlines, historic trading families, and intermarried political financial clans. The only one I could think of is John Kerry, married to Teresa Heinz. That fits that perfectly. Okay, so second part of it, that particular, the keepers are the custodians, which are the intelligence architects, the diplomatic strategists, the old world order custodians, and the esoteric society leadership, in some of the models, that is. The next one is the institutional power blocks, which be government intelligence, CIA, MI6, and Mossad. And you could throw in there, I don't know, maybe FBI and a couple of others. Let's see, global governance is another one. The UN includes the UN, the IMF, and the National Monetary Fund. WEF, that kind of escapes me right now. World Economic Fund, I guess, and then the BIS, which totally escapes me. Another one would be think tanks like the CFR, the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, and the Rand Corporation. And the last one in that particular category are policy and economic forums. Yeah, so what we need is more forums, right? More people to tell us how we need to live. Okay, let's see. Next one would be the corporate mechanisms, the tech conglomerates, pharmaceutical cartels, defense and aerospace industry, investment giants like BlackRock, Vanguard, and there's a third one I can't remember right now. The number 5 is the energy and resource monopolies. Yeah, I remember them every time we have to pay our power bill. Okay, and then we jump down to cultural shaping institutions. There's the next level down, and one up from the bottom. The cultural shaping institutions like the media networks, the movie and music industries, universities, social media algorithms, and publishing and academic circles. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, universities are a sewer, folks. Please don't send your kids to college. Please send them to trade school, something that they can use and be a help to their community, and also and make good money at it too. If you're an electrician, a plumber, a pipe fitter, a carpenter, even laborers make a lot of money. So the skills like that are very good to get into. I was a pipe fitter for a number of years and made very good money. They had a good pension plan and everything. Unfortunately, I got hurt and I had to leave, but if I would have stayed on, I really would have enjoyed it. I love the work. The pipe fitting work is wonderful. Okay, so let's see. And then the last one, the bottom row, is the general population, that being workers, consumers, voters, and dependents on the above layers. Okay. Okay, now the next pyramid would be the spiritual hierarchy version, or the biblical model integration. Let's see. So the top levels would be the principalities at the top, which would be fallen angels, the watchers, territorial spirits, powers behind kingdoms. Remember in Daniel chapter 10, when the angel was trying to give him some information and had to battle the prince of Persia, which was a territorial spirit, and then the angel Michael had to come down and help, so that this particular angel could come down and give this message to Daniel. And then he says, well, when I leave here, I got to go contend with him, and then I got to go contend with the Prince of Grecia, which is Greece, which is the next big empire that was coming on the scene. Which goes to show you that the plan of history is out there, especially in the spiritual realm. They knew everything that was coming down the pike. And okay, and we got to always remember when it comes to the power behind the kingdoms, who we're fighting. Yes, there are evil people that have flesh and blood. They're corporeal beings. I'm convinced that a lot of the uppity ups are hybrids, that they're maybe alien hybrids, or talking about aliens, like reptilians and stuff like that. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of hokey and it sounds kind of outlandish, but I do believe it's true. They're just too wicked to be normal human beings. There's a special kind of wicked that transcends humanity and goes into higher dimensions. But we're told in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, and I've read this about 1,000,000 times too, but I'll read it again. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, okay, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, and again, that's Ephesians 6:12. Then we jump down another, where am I going here? Hold on, folks, I got to get my bearing here. Let's see. Hold on, spiritual hierarchy version A, B, C. Okay, the next level would be thrones and dominions. Wait a minute. No. Okay, I've got to go. Okay, next one actually would be earthly keepers, the priests of the powers, occult orders, mystery schools. And we're talking about witches and warlocks and other things too that basically are the keepers of secret gnosis and other things. So you have occult orders, mystery schools, secret societies function as conduits, and individuals who consciously align with the powers. Okay, those are all people that are involved in the earthly keepers or the priests of the powers. Next is the thrones of dominions expressed through institutions. So what institutions, you ask? Okay, well, there's the national government. There's the banking system. Military industrial structures. We were warned against those. Remember, Eisenhower warned us against that. And what about the global councils and alliances? Okay. I don't like treaties. I don't like alliances, folks. See, they only get you mixed up in a whole bunch of garbage. And we shouldn't be making them with other countries, and we definitely shouldn't be making them with other powers. Okay. And if you believe any of this stuff where supposedly, was it Eisenhower met with the aliens and made deals with them, stuff like that, that could be true. Okay, I'm not going to discount that. But at the same time, it's just something that happened, and we can fight against that. Prayer is very powerful. I got to tell you, talking about prayer, I'm going to take a little break here and tell you. I was talking at the beginning of the show about my mom being kind of really sick. She had torn one of her aorta, and she was bleeding inside. It wasn't a gusher, but it was enough that it caused concern. And so they realized they had to get her in right away. And so, I got right on the pike, like, oh, yeah, please, everybody pray for my mom. She needs it really bad. Well, the church jumped right in, or our church did, and which I'm really appreciative of. I attend a Baptist church called Westside Baptist up in Eugene. Wonderful body of believers. If you live in Eugene, come visit us, please. We'd love to have you. Let's see. Yeah, so anyway, there was those that prayed. There was my relatives on the internet, of course, and other people. Lots of family members. I have a lot of family. I married Barbara, and I came into a lot of family. And so they were all praying too. Well, against all odds, she made it. I didn't really expect her to live through the surgery. I really didn't. And but she did. And as a matter of fact, when I talked to her today, I probably said it earlier, they were calling her their little Thanksgiving miracle. So they're really impressed by it. And they've got to know, because I've basically told them that we're believers. And they've got to know that prayer had a lot to do with it. And I think a lot of the nurses were praying too, because now we're talking about the Southeast. We're talking about northern Florida, and there's a lot of believers down there. Okay, let's see. Individuals who align with the powers. Okay. All right, so let's see. The next one down. Thrones and dominions expressed through institutions. I think I did that. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did, because it was global councils and alliances. Okay. The next one, mammon-based power engines. Okay. Stuff that with money. Okay. Let's see. Corporate empires. Economic strongholds. Boy, I'm thinking about Wall Street right now when I say that. Trade control systems, and that's definitely Wall Street. And cultural influence networks. Tons of those around. It's not like it used to be. That's all I got to say. Next one down is systems of mass influence. And we got to remember that Satan is called the prince of the power of the air. Okay. It's one of his monikers, one of his titles. And what does that mean? Well, we listen to things and we watch things on television. We listen to the radio. And you could even include satellite transmissions. Or we'll go through the airwaves. And which I think gives Satan a very easy tap into those different modes of communication. The media, oh my goodness, the media, like I said earlier, is not the media that it should be. It's definitely biased and slanted towards evil, and wants evil to succeed. The entertainment industry, oh man, what garbage comes out of Hollywood? I'm telling you, oh my goodness. And now we're finding out that most of them are maybe have a warped sense of sexual identity, should I say? That's a good way to put it. Or they're into having relationships with young people, and it's terrible. It really is. And these are the people that a lot of people used to look up to. And I'm thankful that this industry is crumbling, it's cracking, and I think it's almost broken beyond repair. And it can't die soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and let's see, another system of mass influence. Academia, college, the school systems. Terrible. And some of the stuff that they're teaching, it's especially in the colleges, they're teaching stuff that you would never be able to use to gain employment or gain income. It's garbage. It really is. And then social networks, of course, right? We have how many of us are on Facebook still, talking, to family and friends and stuff like that. But still, we're influencing and being influenced by Facebook and YouTube and all the other forms of communication, so to speak. Okay, so humanity is caught in a matrix. Humanity is subject to deception by so many different ways. Humanity is, for the most part, spiritually blind without revelation, any kind of revelation. How many people are just walking around blind, not believing in any kind of God that created the universe? They believe that we come from monkeys, and not my relatives, I'm sorry, but it's just crazy. It really is. Okay, so many people are manipulated by narratives. One of my favorite ones, and I love to come against, is if you go into church now, if you read scripture and you read it and you believe that mankind is the only life form in the universe, okay? And there's several things in scripture that prove that. And I've even written a paper on it. It's on delusionresistance.org. They believe that, we came from monkeys, which is totally untrue. It's totally unbiblical. and there's no way you can meld it that in with Scripture. And if you try, you're foolish. Um, it's just crazy how people can believe in all that stuff and not even want to know what the truth is. It's manipulated by narratives. Yeah, I was going to say that if you walk into a church nowadays and you were to ask, and I've done this many, many times, I'll ask, well, do you believe that there is other life in the universe? Oh, yes, yes. And you always get the same, almost exact phraseology. Well, the universe is too large and too vast for us to be the only beings that live in here. The only sentient beings in the universe. Word for word, what you would hear on the Discovery Channel or on the Travel Channel, watching some of that garbage that's on there. And it's amazing how that stuff is parroted by Christians. If you ask them if they believe in evolution, well, I believe that God used evolution, in his plan for creation. Well, you want to knock on their heads and go, hey, McFly, is there anybody awake in there? How can that be? Yahweh says they did it in 6 days, and they're like, oh no, well those 6 days are actually not days, they're epochs. And okay, and I always love to come up with this because I'll say, all right, well he created the plants before he created the sun. How did the plants get use photosynthesis if there was no sun? And they did it for thousands or millions of years? No, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. And bees and pollinators weren't created until after the trees were created, not on the same day. And again, if those are epochs or eras and stuff like that, how did the trees pollinate? How did they reproduce? They couldn't. It was impossible. And that's just two little examples of how foolish that idea is. Let's see. And they're bound to a system. And they're bound to the system. They're bound to the matrix. Unless they're freed. Okay. Let's see. And how did they get freed? Well, Yeshua said that, actually Paul said, if any man is in Christ, he's a new creature. Behold, old things are passed away. Behold, all things are new. Okay? We're not what we used to be when we come to Yeshua and in faith and accept his free gift of salvation and ask him to come live inside of us and to guide us and to control us. I know it's a word that people don't like, but I like it. I like that he does that. Because on my own, I'm a total failure. But it's that's the only way to become free. It's the only way to be able to live in this matrix and get through to it so that you can go to the end and get to heaven with a degree of sanity anyway. Doing without Yeshua, I don't understand, folks, how you do it if you don't know Yeshua. How you do it just totally befuddles me. It really does. I got saved when I was 20 years old, and I don't know how I could have done it. I just look at the unsaved world. I'm like, how in the heck did they do it? With all the stress and all the wars and rumors of wars and all the murders that are out there nowadays. And oh my goodness, how do you live in that and not have faith, or a faith that'll keep you from going bonkers? It's beyond me. It really is. Okay, so let's look at the biblical versus the modern elite comparison. Okay, let's see. So let's have two columns. Okay, one of them's going to be biblical, and let's see. It's going to be biblical versus modern. So biblical on the left side, modern versus on the right. So biblical, you had the sons of God, the Watchers, the Nephilim, tyrant kings that controlled populations. Am I messing this up? Hold on a second. Okay. Watchers and Nephilim. Okay. I know I'm messing this up. Okay. Maybe I'm just going to jump down to a different section here. All right. So we went ahead and looked at the different pyramids, right? And we looked at the secular periods and the pyramid, excuse me, and how it went from the rich and elite families down to the keepers, down to institutions, down to corporations, down to the culture, and down to populations. And again, at the families, above the apex, I do believe should be Satan. Let's see. Okay. See, transition to the spiritual layer. Behind every throne is a principality. It's important to remember that. And it says, show biblical examples. Okay, well, again, let's look at Daniel when he was when he was in deep prayer and wanted to know what Yahweh's plans were. A messenger was sent to him, but a messenger was held up by the prince of Persia, which is a principality. Those are mentioned as a degree in rank or hierarchy in the spiritual realm, especially in the evil spiritual realm. And that entity was not allowed to advance, but then Michael came down and started fighting with that entity, with the prince of Persia, and that entity. Then that angel was allowed to come down and reveal to Daniel what he needed to reveal. It's very important information. You need to read the book of Daniel. It's incredible. And there are lots of books out there that explain it too. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel's visitation by the angel against the prince of Persia. Okay. It says mold both into one picture. Earthly and heavenly hierarchies, they're the same. Their names might be the same, but their offices are often and almost always not almost synonymous with one another. It'd be like looking at Army rank compared to Navy rank. Okay, I'm not saying one is more evil than the other. Okay, because I love both of those services. I love all the armed services of the United States. I'm just using that example because the rank is so much different in the Navy than it is in the other three or four now militaries of the United States. So they all sync with each other, and they all have a degree of equalization for ranks. Okay, all the way from the bottom all the way up to the top, generals and admirals, and down at the bottom it would be privates and seamen. Okay, let's see. And we got to remember that the unseen is the real world. Okay, the matrix is a false thing. Okay. Yeah, we live in this thing called the Matrix. I can't emphasize it more. This is we're living in not a reality. This is a contrivance, basically. And how did we get here? Well, we got here because there was a reality that Adam and Eve lived in. Adam and Chava, actually, Chava is her Hebrew name. And we'd still be living in it. And I've got a beef against them. I really need for Yahweh to heal that beef, because it's because of those two that you and I experience pain, we experience death, that you ladies experience pain in childbirth, that there's a hierarchy between men and women, all because of their curiosity about the fruit on that tree, and a lie that some Nachash, some upright shining creature, told them that God didn't know what he was talking about and that they should experience it themselves, and they fell for that crap. I don't know. I don't want to get too harsh, because a lot of times when you do that, Yahweh proves to you, or he'll show you just how it happened. And I don't want that. I've got enough on my plate right now. So let's see. So again, we need to be aware. Okay, we need to be aware of what's going on. Again, we got to be aware that we're in a matrix, and that there is another realm that's more important than this one, because it's from that realm that this realm was created. Okay, Yahweh lives outside of time and space. He lives basically he lives in a different realm than even the demons and the fallen angels and stuff. They live in a dimension of our current reality, a linear system. Okay, although I don't know if there's time and everything in that reality, but they do not live in the heaven of heavens where Yahweh lives. And so they're when all is said and done, this realm is going to disappear. It's going to be beautiful because I do believe it's going to start when Yeshua comes back during the Battle of Armageddon, and he puts the devil in his place and destroys all the wicked armies and stuff like that, and then sets up a paradise here on earth for 1,000 years. And it's going to be much akin, I believe, as the Garden of Eden was before the fall. Mankind is still going to be in a fallen state, and people still need to get saved during that period, but it's going to be a whole other reality that, frankly, I can't wait to see. It's going to be really neat. And being believers in him after because sometimes before that we're going to be resurrected and then called up to heaven, and we'll come back with him to take back the earth, and then we'll get to be, I hate to say this word, like co-regents with him. He's going to give us areas or something, or jobs or dominions or something on this earth or in this reality that we have. Well, actually, in the new reality after the Matrix is destroyed. But it's going to be nice. That's all I got to say, and I can't wait for it. Every time I have to pay a bill, I can't wait for it. And every time I get up and I'm sore, I can't wait for it. Let's see. So we got to realize that we can't panic in this, okay? We got to realize that we're just going through a transition period right now, okay? Albeit a very painful transition period, a very sorrowful transition period, but it is a transition period. And that things need to happen. Yahweh established prophecy, and he gave different prophecies about what was going to happen before Yeshua returned. Actually, it goes all the way back to what, even in Genesis, there was a prophetic timeline showing that Yeshua was going to come, and that his death was going to bring relief to many. So all the way from that time to this time, mankind has been struggling through, muddling through, and it's been a long time. And one of these days, like I said, we're going to get translated. Those of us who know Yeshua will go to heaven and come back with him when he takes back the world. And but these things need to happen that are going on because they were prophesied. Okay, and since they were prophesied, they need to occur, right? And a lot of the things that were prophesied are not pleasant, folks. They're not. Blood and fire and pillars of smoke. It's not going to be a pleasant thing for a lot of people to see. Hopefully, you're one of us, and you'll be going to heaven with us before all that comes down. But there will be some bad things that happen before he comes to take us home. But we got to realize that he's in charge, and that these things have to happen, and that it says that he will not give you any test that will test you beyond your means to be able to tolerate it. But if something that way does come up along, that he provides a way of escape. Okay? So we have that promise. And we have the promise that no weapon formed against us will prosper. And that's a heritage thing. He's given that to us as a heritage. Okay, let's see. We need to have spiritual discernment. Oh my goodness, please. If you don't have it, pray for it, please. When you have spiritual discernment, you have the Holy Spirit telling you what's going to happen or what to do in certain circumstances. Man, does it help. One thing I just came to my mind real quick. When my dad passed away, I think there was something dirty that happened, and I can't prove it, but I can. And I think that the doctor messed up on purpose. And so when he passed away, I was out for vengeance. I wanted to hire a lawyer right away, and sue the pants off that doctor and the hospital. And one day, even my relatives are telling me, oh, my Uncle Warren, it's like, oh, why don't you sue? You have such a good case. And so I explored it. And one day I was getting ready to call the attorney. And I God is my witness. Yahweh is my witness. I heard him tell me, he asked me a question. He said, I got to get this straight. okay, he said, David, do you believe that your dad is with me? And I said, yeah, I do. And he says, well, if he's with me, do you think that I wanted him to be with me? And I said, yeah, of course. He said, so if I wanted it and I made it happen, that this is how he left this earthly realm, then wouldn't suing the doctor be akin to suing me? And I was like, oh, man. And I took a big pause and I went, you know what, Yahweh, you are right. And I can't do that, Yeshua. Thanks for, oh, my relatives all thought I was crazy. They thought, I didn't tell them exactly everything I just told you, but just the fact that I wasn't going to sue that doctor was, some of them got mad at me. But, he is more important than all my relatives, all put together. Especially when it comes to opinions, and especially when unbelievers are trying to tell me what to do, what the right thing is to do. I'm not going to do it. So anyway, we have to have the spiritual discernment. We have to be listening to his voice. We've got to have our ears attuned and always listening to see if he's going to talk to us and tell us what to do. Sometimes he shows us through circumstances, There's sometimes when you go to do something and anything you try to do to make that happen just doesn't happen, right? I'm convinced that that's Yahweh saying, putting the brakes on and going, nope, ain't going to happen. And then he watches us and we try something else. He's going, I told you it's not going to happen. And then we'll try something else. And he goes, when are you going to listen to me? I told you that's not going to happen. So finally we think about it and go, you know what? That's not going to happen. And I can imagine Yeshua going, duh, really? So remember, guys, he was a man just like me and you. He was a human just like me, you, and the ladies. And I do think he has a sense of humor. He's got to in order to put up with us. My God. Okay. Let's see. So the important thing is to remember and believe that freedom in Yeshua breaks the matrix. If we're living in Yahweh's kingdom, the kingdom of Yahweh, rather than the kingdoms of this world or the matrix, then we have to believe that his way is the right way, and that his way is going to be the only way that accomplishes everything. And that the matrix, again, is just a contrivance. Yes, we're here and we're living in it, but it's not real. Oh, man, how do you believe that? How can you comprehend that? It's almost impossible to comprehend. But it's true. We're living in a production. We're living in a movie. We're living in a scripted dialogue that was written before time and space ever existed. And we're here because of two people that couldn't obey the word of Yahweh. So, and I'm sure that when they did that, they didn't think about what was going to happen 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years down the road, that that you and I are going to be going through financial hardships and everything else because of ultimately because of what they did. So and that we're born into sin because of what they did. But again, there's a way out of that, just like there's a way out of the matrix, and that's having a relationship and loving and caring for and accepting Yeshua into our lives. So anyway, what do we got here? Oh, now we got an hour and a half. Why don't we? Oh, darn it! I've got all these. Okay, we're gonna watch these quick little ones. And again, this is I keep forgetting her name. That's why I wrote it down here. Tahana Sikik or Sikik or Sikik. Yeah, it's got to be like Sikik or Sikik. So let's watch these videos. Man, what an intelligent young lady. And this is just a foretaste of everything she's got out there, folks. Go check her out. I'm going to let you know right now, biologically, she does not think like you and I do. That's all I'm going to say about that. But everything else she's spot on. When it comes to all this conspiracy stuff, and it's not really conspiracy, it's fact. But what a bright and intelligent young lady, and I'd like to meet her someday. I really would. And just to say hey, and you and I think alike, and with Yahweh's help, we're going to overcome this thing. Anyway, so hold on, folks. All right, so let's go into the first one is not from her, but it talks about the bloodlines of the beast and where this all started since the crucifixion of Yeshua, not all the way back at the beginning, but where it all started and where it is now. So, and it's not very long. It's actually it's very short. It's less than 3 minutes, but it's 3 minutes that are packed with power. So, okay, so let's go ahead and the bloodlines of the beast. Here we go.
The deep state, in my understanding, begins with the descendants of Caesar, and then the Vatican, the Rothschilds, and the Chabad Jews. And they in turn use the 10% of the Freemasons and the Knights of Malta as fixers, and they use the City of London, Wall Street, and all central banks, which are not nationalized, all central banks as the managers. So you have the deep state on top, and then you have the shadow government below that, and then you have the intelligence community services, the 10% of the intelligence secret services, like this Dutch banker just talked about recently. They are the dirty war element of the deep state. The shadow government basically includes the politicians, generally of two parties that do not represent 70% of the country, and a select group of senior bureaucrats, perhaps 10%. So the shadow government is the best of the servant class. They in turn work for the deep state.
Quite interesting, huh? Kind of gives you an idea very quickly of what's going on.
Do you guys know what the Deagle report is? Or do you think it's real? So the Deagle report is a report that was leaked on a website called Deagle.com. And what's interesting is Deagle.com is just military talk. It's a website about military weapons, military strategies, military everything. Then somebody said that somebody super high up in the agencies decided to leak this report to kind of warn people about something. And this was in 2017, and it circled the internet. Like, you know, conspiracy theorists were all over it. I was totally like into it. And then in 2020, it got wiped off the internet. Like, if you tried to upload it again, you would be flagged immediately. Right now, it's back on the internet again, and I think it's floating around. If not, I have it saved on my phone. Let me just show you guys. So according to the Deagle report, the United Kingdom is set to be depopulated by 77.1% by this year. Ireland is supposed to be by 72.4% depopulated by this year. The United States, and then you've got Australia right here. Then you have, where's Canada? Oh, Canada's right there. You've got Israel right there. And it's just really interesting. But then there's also a growth of population in the same report. Let me just show you that. So we start tapering off here, and then it says Russia. Where's Russia? I had it somewhere. It was like 0.5% depopulation for Russia. So right there is Russia. And then what's interesting is you get to all of these countries, and they see a population growth from 2017 to 2025. And it seems like most of these countries, I'm not saying all, but most of these countries on here didn't push for the you-know-what in 2020. Now, what people also don't understand is that 2020 was actually supposed to happen between 2012 and 2016. So if you were really active in the conspiracy theory stage, everybody knew that was coming for Depop, right? And then they pretty much pushed it in 2020. And then I don't think it actually went as well as they thought it would, because I think they thought by 2025 they would have us completely in the 15-minute city digital prisons, and that they would have created havoc. Luckily for us, what they created, the Schmovid, didn't actually stick as well as it did when they released it in China at the military games, so that when everybody went home, they would actually transfer that, virus to everybody else. So what they did is they went through with it with lies and algorithm that they got from previous viruses that they used to release, like Zika and all of that other stuff. And so now I'm wondering, is the Deagle report also behind on time, just like their plan for the you-know-what, by maybe a decade? Because, AI is coming. There's way too many of us, and not many of us are going to have jobs. And that's a whole lot of issues for governments to just keep people sitting around eating uselessly. If you know what Committee of 300 is, you know what that saying is. But what do you guys think?
I think that the Committee of 300 is kind of behind the times, because that's an old communist phrase, useless eaters. Okay, let's go to the next one. The young lady talking about 15-minute cities.
Every time I mention 15-minute cities, I get two types of people that come out protesting for 15-minute cities. So it's people who claim they're awake and they're like, no, digital IDs are bad, CBDCs are bad, but 15-minute cities? No, those are great. What are you talking about? I don't want to drive anywhere. I want to have everything, within a walking distance from me. And I'm just like, those are chain link steps into slaving humanity. And the people who came up with the digital ID and the CBDCs are the same people who brainchild the 15-minute cities. Then the second type of person that comes out is the liberal, the ding-dong, the idiots, the NPCs. They're like, oh, I've always lived in a 15-minute city. I live in a big city. Everything's 15 minutes away driving for me. Driving, not walking. There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But anyways, for those of you who still believe that 15-minute cities are a great way for us to meet our neighbors and have like a little local community, I don't think you realize that they're setting those up for climate lockdowns. And you want to know the only reason why 15-minute cities are now being tabled as a thing is because people complied in 2020. And it's on the World Economic Forum's website and they openly say it. Let's just get into it. As climate change and global conflict cause shocks and stresses at faster intervals and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. Let that marinate in your head a little bit. How is a 15-minute city going to fix any of these global conflicts? That's my first question. COVID-19 may be now flipping this on its head, which is why the 15-minute city concept is taking hold in a way that it could not have before the pandemic. Now, they're already trying a pilot project of the 15-minute city out in Oxford, and they've already taken it further than they have in any other city that has signed up for it. Let me just show you. For example, some city blocks are included in the favored list with 100 passes. So you get 100 passes to visit certain districts within Oxford, while others get 25. So the property values of the inner circle addresses rise. So when I said they will actually not let you move from one district to another district, that wasn't a conspiracy theory. That's exactly what's going to happen. And this is how they entice mayors to actually get into the 15-minute city program. What they say is, we'll give you funding, like 5 million, 1 million, depending on the city size and the people and all of the things that you have to do, including a lot of cameras to protect from crime. Just like the UK has a lot of cameras who doesn't protect from crime. They actually allow illegals to rape and pillage everybody else, but if you're sitting at a bench thinking about Christian thoughts, those cameras seem to pick you up really quickly. And they're going to actually take it even further, and I can go into detail just how bad 15-minute cities are, to the point where they will have exact calculations for what you have in your fridge and how you eat it. That is what the 15-minute cities are about.
Wow. I'll tell you something. I don't like that. This girl is something else, I'm telling you. And I'm finding a landmine of stuff when she, not a landmine, it's a bad term, a gold mine of stuff where that she's talking about. And it's just totally amazing. It really is. That a young person has the thoughts that she has and asks questions that she does. The people like that are few and far between, but hey, if she can get her generation thinking and using their heads and even talking to my generation, I mean, I'm impressed. So if some of my other people my age, my contemporaries, can be as impressed as I am, maybe they'll listen to some common sense. So anyway, let's go and let's see. She wants to talk about digital IDs if they're a precursor to the mark of the beast. So, and the one after that, she's going to get into the Club of Rome. And then there's one more video that if we have time, I'll play it, okay? All right, so here we go.
Let me explain to you guys what the last 3 years has been, basically. Plandemic 1.0 was just a dry run. It was a dry run to collect data, to see the compliance numbers and to see how far that they can push us. And basically through our compliance and through people's fears and pushing other people into that situation, they basically managed to get a lot further than they thought they would. So right now what they're doing is they're putting puzzle pieces together, basically a chess game with multiple pieces, and they're trying to corral us into a situation that we will not be able to get out of. So in Plandemic number 1, what did they do? 1, propaganda. 2, fear-mongering. 3, they basically turned people against each other, families against each other, over literally a flu. Literally. Like this is what we're talking about. And so now, because they realize they can't do that again, they cannot make the same steps for pandemic number 2. What are they going to do? They're going to put pieces into place. And this is where the digital ID comes into place. And what they're doing with this digital ID right now is basically conglomerating all and everything that you live off of into one entity that is basically regulated by one entity. That is not okay. Right now, we have driver's licenses, birth certificates, SIN numbers, and health numbers that are regulated by different regulations and different laws. What they will do now is they will conglomerate that into one, so they just shut that off with a button when they do a pandemic number 2 and they want to mass vaccinate. So those of you who are saying that this is a conspiracy theory, literally remember how they played out 2020 all the way up till 2022? It started off with, it's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're all in this together. Stay home and save lives. And then it turned into stay home and save lives to let's put the unvaccinated into camps and basically force vaccinate them. Do you not see the entire picture? And so now, because they cannot repeat the steps that they repeated in 2020, they can't start giving money to certain large corporations to push vaccinations and universities to push vaccinations. Now they will do it through the digital ID. Because that digital ID is basically connected to everything that you need in life to survive because of the system that they created. You now, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you won't be able to go and find work at McDonald's and just sustain yourself. They will literally just boop one button and they will shut you off. They will shut off your bank account. They will shut off your driver's license, and they will literally starve you out until you comply. And this is why the digital IDs are dangerous. Now, if you understand how the elites work, they basically work as a chess game, and they move all of these puzzle pieces in slowly so that we don't notice what's going on. However, if you're smart and if you've been watching them and if you know what's going on, you will actually get that these little puzzle pieces that they're trying to put together is to control us. So wake up.
Very good. Wake up. I think she ran into her 3-minute limit on the short there. But here, let's watch the last one from her. Okay, here we go. Digital IDs, precursor. Oh, wait a minute. I think we watched it. Okay, let's see. Who is the Club of Rome? Here we go.
I know a lot of people have heard of the World Economic Forum, the Committee of 300, the Atlantic Council, and so forth. But have you heard of their middleman, which is a secret society called the Club of Rome? The Club of Rome is absolutely insane because you will actually realize that they're not just eugenicists, they're Malthusians, and that they also have a plan for depopulating the world and bringing in the New World Order. And they're actually the ones that financed the World Economic Forum, which is also another arm of the global cabal, and everything will kind of make sense. Actually, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's stepdaddy, was a member of the Club of Rome. And I say stepdaddy because, yeah, let's face it, the Cuba guy is definitely his dad. The Club of Rome is a conspiratorial umbrella organization, a marriage between Anglo-American financiers and the old black nobility families of Europe, particularly the so-called nobility of London, Venice, and Genoa. The key to the successful control of the world is their ability to create and manage savage economic recessions, eventually depression. The Committee of 300 looks to social convulsions on a global scale, followed by depression as a softening up technique for bigger things to come, as its principal method of creating masses of people all over the world who will become its welfare recipients of the future. If you don't know what Malthusian is, it's the idea that population growth will outpace the growth of resources, especially food, leading to crises like famine, disease, and more. It suggests that while population increases geometrically, food production can only increase arithmetically, and if population growth isn't limited by preventative checks like moral restraint, example, delaying marriage, positive checks like disaster will inevitably occur to balance the numbers. So the middleman in this entire game is being financed by Committee of 300. The Committee of 300 basically says that we need to get rid of all the useless eaters. Club of Rome also, who had Henry Kissinger as part of it, wrote something called the Memorandum of 200. I've got a video on that if you want to see it in detail. And it also says that we need to depopulate the world through wars, famine, economic destruction, and also pandemics, which is why 2020 happened, and the reason why we were all saying, hey, I think that the thing is for depopulation, which is also why the Georgia Guidestones have a thing on there that says the world needs to be depopulated by 95% in order to be balanced with nature, which is also why I hate Greta Thunberg, that freaking environmental troll, because she's one of these losers who believes in this idea. Now, the Club of Rome then told the UN to basically have like everybody sign on to like the global warming climate change agreement, and then they made a arm of that called the World Economic Forum, and the World Economic Forum's job is to get a bunch of like cultists like Justin Trudeau, who's in the WEF, and his stepdad Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who was in the Club of Rome. Basically what they do is they mind wash all of these idiots into thinking this exact same thing, and then they infiltrate our governments so that they can enact their plans.
There you go. There you go. You have it from the mouth of a very intelligent young lady who started asking questions, who stopped being, if she ever was, a bench sitter, a bench warmer. But yeah, what an amazing young woman. I'm sorry, folks. I know I'm not obsessed with her or anything like that, but she's just an oddity for her generation, you know. I remember a few years ago when my first wife was still alive, we went to rent some videos. That's how long ago it was, like 2009, I think. And we ran into a young man that worked in the video store, and he was different. He had morals and he had values, and I can't remember exactly what it was that made me question it. But I asked him, I says, well, you know, how old are you? What generation are you? He said, well, I'm a Gen Xer. And I went, wow. And I says, I'm really impressed with you because you don't think like a lot of your contemporaries. You know, you think, you know, and you ask questions, and you're able to formulate answers by looking at data and stuff like that. And he goes, well, you know, he says, I am different. He says, and I can't be the other way. And I said, there are others like you that, oh yeah, there's quite a few of us that think that way. And I'm telling you, that gave me hope for the Gen X generation. It really did. Otherwise, I would have just written them off as a lost generation. And I've seen since then that there are others that, especially people that are believers in Yeshua, who are part of that generation, because although they're still, I don't want to insult anybody. I'm just really proud of them and happy that they exist, and that they're a tribute to their parents, of course, and to their generation, and they're an icon of hope for that generation. So, and there's a couple of generations after them now that I'm understanding that the last one was the Generation Z or something like that. They're very astute, and they're really coming around to know the truth and to question this whole farce that we have, like with global warming and stuff like that. So there is hope, okay? And Yahweh can work through and in anybody. So, and He can save anybody too. And if you're not saved, you need to get saved really soon, because the defecation is going to hit the rotary oscillator. You think it's bad now? Jeez. Just wait a couple of years, 2 years tops, and you're going to be totally confounded by what's going on, because their plan is for 2030 for us to be taken over by this New World Order or whatever they're calling it. They're calling it the Fourth Reich is another name for it, which I think it fits perfectly, because it follows up the Third Reich, was the Nazi regime. And it's not much different. And that's also they're calling it the fourth industrial revolution. So I can't see why they call it that, because they're trying to destroy industry, but whatever. The guy that Klaus-Schwab is, man, picture him dressed up in an SS uniform with a riding crop in his right hand, and you got the guy. Anyway, folks, so what do we look at tonight? We looked at the power pyramid and how there's actually 4 of them, and how depending on what population you're looking at, it's there's a hierarchy, and then there's is there such a word as a lowerarchy? A top and a bottom, and with a lot of different things in the middle. And it's a shame that it's that way. It really is, because it's a separating thing that separates the rich from the poor. It separates the of course, it separates races from races, and it's just I don't like seeing stuff like that. I really don't. I'm ashamed that it even exists. It's I don't know, but I guess we live in a fallen world, and so we have to accept these fallen things. Not necessarily believe in them, but accept that they're there. Well, folks, I'm going to get heading out of here. We covered quite a bit of stuff tonight. I got to get this downloaded and then uploaded to Rumble so that they have something to look at. And I'm going to have to be apologizing profusely to them for the mix-up that I had. Thank God it was only this Rumble. It could have been 5 or 6 of these different formats, but it's just one. So, all right. Well, again, go visit the Tahana's webpage. It's like I said, she does shorts on Facebook. She does shorts on YouTube and also on Rumble. And you're going to be amazed that there's somebody that age that's out there talking like this. I don't know. I am. I'm amazed. So, and I pray for more people like her. Father, we come to you right now in Yeshua's name. We thank you for Tahana Sekik. And we just prayed that her word would constantly echo in the ears and the minds of her generation and later generation, or earlier generations too, Father. Let her be a beacon of light and hope in a very dark and dismal world, and use the words that she says to help people think of you, that you're the way out, Yeshua. And just thank you for her life, and we just pray that you would bless her in so many different ways. If she doesn't have a relationship with you, I pray that she does soon, that she comes to you soon. And just thank you for her life. And thank you for the lives of everybody in our audience, Father, and those that are in it now and those who will be in it a year from now and 2 years from now. Be nice to last that long, I hope. But anyway, Father, thank you for tonight. It's been wonderful getting back on the air. It really has been. And just bless everybody this weekend. Give them a good weekend, and let them just have a wonderful, wonderful, joyous time together with friends, family, or if they're alone, even with sitting down with a good book or whatever. And just bless all my audience, Father, in Yeshua's name. And we pray for all these things in Yeshua's name. Amen and amen. All right, folks, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May he make his face to rise upon you and be gracious unto you. May he watch your going out and your coming in, your rising up and your lying down. May he bring you the peace that passes all understanding, especially in this time. And with all the stuff we talked about tonight, you need that peace. So accept it in Yeshua's name. And if you don't know him, come to know him quickly. Time's short. Okay, and I pray these things in Yeshua's name. Amen. And okay, folks, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday for sure. Pending any weird stuff that happens or medical emergencies or anything like that. But and thank you for your prayers for my mom. I appreciate it. I really do. I know she does too. And my wife does too. So we want her to be around for quite a while yet. We like her company and we love her. She's a wonderful mom. Okay. God bless. Adios. See you soon. Bye.